Hello everyone! Did you guys just see everyone gushing over one certain Korean actress after Squid Game came out? Do you want to know who that freckled beauty is? Well then, you have landed on the right video. Today we'll be talking about none other than Ho Yeon Jung, who is not an actress to your surprise. She is in fact a Korean supermodel. Yes sir, the star of the show is a supermodel. So how did she end up on the big screen? Watch the video to find out more about that. However, before we tell you all about her, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications? After all, where else will you find news like this? So go ahead and do it. With that done, let's start. The kickstart of her career. Ho Yeon Jung was born on June 23, 1994, in a small neighborhood on the outskirts of Seoul. Jung wasn't born in a well-off family, but she had to put up with her fair share of struggle. Those kinds of problems that really bring a man out of you, or a woman in this case. There are few people who are born with the kind of ambition that Jung has. She has never been one to sit on her ass. From an early age, she started to worry about her future. She wondered what career would suit her best. She was obsessed with the idea of making money for herself. So one lucky day, when Jung was busy questioning life and whatnot, she looked into the mirror and it all clicked together for her. So one lucky day, when Jung was busy questioning life and whatnot, she looked into the mirror and it all clicked together for her. Jung had always been tall. Given her features and everything, modeling seemed like the most suitable option for her. And we're thankful she did. Once she had her answer, she was off to make it all come true. Jung started looking for a gig at the tender age of 16 in 2010. She was giving interviews and visiting agencies, racing for a chance to fall in her lap. It turns out that God answered her prayers because in 2012, a esteemed model hired her, and she soon became the brand's top model. Afterwards, Jung went to star in Season 4 of Korea's Top Model. In the start, things looked weak for Jung when she found herself in the elimination round. If she had lost at that moment, it would have been game over for her. But luckily, the stars were in her favor. In Week 5, Jung found herself back on the set. She made it to the finale, but sadly, she didn't win the competition. She did place second, though. We rarely get to see models who win the other versions of the top model, like in the USA, make a name for themselves. But here in Korea, winning such a notable competition might just be the very thing to start your supermodeling career, which is what happened to Jung. After winning the competition, or coming second, whatever way you put it, Jung found herself in quite the spotlight. She landed gig after gig, appearing in many local editions of the magazine, including Vogue and L&W. Soon, she became the highest pictorial model in demand in Korea. After conquering the modeling scene in Korea, Jung moved to the big stage. She made her international debut at the 2017 New York Fashion Week. Here, Jung turned quite the heads with a fiery red look. Fans speculate that the last episode might be referencing that particular look. Don't know what we're talking about? Well, you better watch the show to find out. We don't want to spoil it for you. Anyways, back to Jung. After New York Fashion Week, Jung booked a ticket to Milan to star in shows by Alberto Ferretti and Fendi. She even made her Paris debut a short while later by modeling exclusively for Louis Vuitton. With all this big stuff happening for Jung, it doesn't surprise us that she was named one of the top breakout models in 2016. Her success was attracting more and more deals for her as she modeled for some of the biggest Western fashion magazines like Harper's Bazaar and Sephora. Starting from rock bottom and then bagging gigs like this is no less than an impressive feat. Jung sure deserves applause for all of it. Moving to New York. Just as her career hit its peak, Jung decided to pack her bags and hit New York. Why make such a move just when everything was going so well for her? Wouldn't such a decision mess the progression of her career? What was she thinking? Well, nothing too complicated. She simply wanted to shake up her routine and do new things. And what better place to do that than in the city that never sleeps? This move turned out to be the best thing to ever happen to Jung. New York gave her a chance to grow. As she conquered new things, she grew out of her comfort zone. The change in Jung's personality was even noticed by her friends back at home. They pointed out that Jung seemed like a very comfortable person. Well, you can definitely expect New York to do that for you. While talking about her time in the city, Jung mentions feeling lonely. New York is a big city, and well, her experience isn't too different from others. However, it is this very loneliness that got her the success she has today. Jung had a lot of time in New York, and what do you think she did with all that time? Read books, watch movies, of course, the only valid option. Snuggled in her bed, watching all kinds of movies. Jung realized her new purpose. Suddenly, she thought to herself that watching those movies wasn't enough. She wanted to act. In an interview with W, Jung said if she hadn't had the time to watch movies and read books at home on holidays, she would have never discovered her passion for acting. So who said watching movies was a waste of time? Now, Jung isn't the type of person who just sits on her couch. Once she found her purpose, she got to work. She started taking acting classes and secured an agent for herself. It was serious business only. Start of her acting career. With an agent and acting classes, Jung didn't take long to get an acting gig. In fact, one fell right in her lap. It's the reason you and I are here. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Jung's first acting script was none other than Squid Game. Jung submitted her audition as the producers had asked. We guess those acting classes paid off because the producers told her yes. Jung was no doubt appalled at landing such a big gig on her very first try. It all seemed too good to be true. In fact, when Jung heard the news from her CEO, the first thing she said was, "Why?" Obviously, she was over the moon, but a greater fear started kicking in for her as the news settled. The question she asked herself was, can I do this? If she had asked us, we would have said, of course you can. You are Ho Yeon Jung. However, Jung had another strategy that involved preparing for her role. She did not shy away from putting in the work. She watched documentaries on North Korean refugees who had defected, as that was her character's story in the show. She even worked to change her South Korean accent to a North Korean one. She hired a dialect coach and perfected her North Korean accent. Jung even ended up connecting with her character. She found that both of them had experience with loneliness and independence. Yeah, she learned those things back in New York, so that experience came in handy once again. In the end, all of Jung's hard work paid off as her character in the show is one of the fans' favorites. She has delivered a gut-wrenching performance and won the hearts of millions. It's also no surprise that her Instagram following went from 400,000 to 12 million followers after the show's release. Considering that more and more people are jumping on the Squid Game wagon, it won't take long for her to cross that number and probably hit 20 million. Outro. And that's all we have for you today. For now, Jung's plans are a mystery, but we hope she graces our screens once again. A lot of people will miss those freckles if they disappear. With that said, do you think Jung did a good job on the show? Was acting the right choice for her? Or should she just stick to modeling? Hash it all out in the comments. We would love to read. Before you leave, don't forget to leave us a like for the sake of Ho Yeon Jung at least. We would see you next time with more videos. Till then, bye!